Hey, it's Adrian, and today I'm taking a look at the brand new Ring Battery Doorbell Pro. So this is a video doorbell with an impressive 150 degrees field of view, so you can see everything from head to toe. It also has bird's eye zone to show you subject or motion trajectory, and you also have pre-roll video as well, which is very handy. You can use the doorbell with the included battery pack, or you can actually hardwire to your home's existing Chime, and that'll help keep the battery topped up. Now, the motion detection speed and alert speed is actually pretty fast on here, and I am impressed with it. But there is one potential deal breaker with this system, and it's something that requires you to have a paid monthly plan to get full functionality out of it. So let's take a closer look and you can decide if this is worth it for you or not. The box includes the Ring Battery Doorbell Pro and optional corner mount, charging cable, screwdriver, quick start guide, wiring to wire to your Chime and to charge the unit up, stickers, and mounting screws. So the Ring Battery Doorbell Pro is a fairly nice looking doorbell, now kind of hefty, coming in at 254 grams or 0.54 pounds. Now at the top we have this glossy black finish which can attract fingerprints, and then we also have the camera and all the various sensors. At the bottom it's a matte type of finish, and it's also matte on the doorbell ringer, so it's not going to be a fingerprint magnet, which is a nice touch. Now we can see on the rear we have the two screws if you want to wire this to your existing Chime unit, and then if you want to supply power to the doorbell as well. To gain access to the battery, if you need to recharge it, if you're not going to be wiring this, it just shows to push up from the bottom here, which I'm going to do, and that just pops up fairly nicely. And then you can see there's another button here that says push, so you can just push that and slide the battery pack out. And I haven't used this yet, which is why the protective covering is on there to cover the contacts up. So you can see that this battery is going to be recharged with a supplied cable, a micro USB cable. It would have been good if it was a Type-C cable, but that's not that big of a deal. And you can always buy an extra of these, that way you could just quickly swap them in and out so you don't have any downtime. Installing the Ring Battery Doorbell Pro is really easy. So once you remove the front cover, you have access to 4 screw holes here. So you would just drill this into the door frame, into your door, or any other surface you want this mounted. And of course you also have the option to use your existing Chime wiring. You would just do that before you do any of the drilling. Now what you can also do is to use this optional wedge. So what you would do is use these slots here and then just screw this into any type of surface. Once you're done, pop the doorbell on, line it up, and then you would just attach the same 4 screws to keep it nicely in there. Then replace the front cover, and then there is a little hole here that you would just screw in with a security screw to make sure no one can just yank the top up and just remove the battery. Specs include an HD plus video resolution of 1536 by 1536. There's a 150 degree field of view both vertically and horizontally. 3D motion detection. It operates on the 2.4 and 5.0 gigahertz Wi-Fi band, and the operating temperature is from -20 Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius. I'm gonna go ahead and add the Battery Doorbell Pro to the Ring app. So first I'm gonna insert the battery to power it on, and then I'll just say that I want to set up a device. Pick doorbell, and it mentions to scan the QR code on the doorbell, which is located on the side here. So I'm going to say that I'm ready to scan it. And it's scanned. Now I'm going to pick my current address here, and I'll just give it a name, front door. Now it mentions to use the supplied screw. Now I'm going to connect to my Wi-Fi network.
Now connected to the Ring app.
I'm just waiting for it to connect to my Wi-Fi router. Alright, so the Ring doorbell is now added to the Ring app and connected to my Wi-Fi. As soon as you launch into the Ring app, you can see what the camera last captured. So this was about 2 minutes ago. There's a truck out there. You can also take a look at a history of recorded events. You can edit shortcuts, and if you enable modes, you'll have these icons at the top where you can just switch between them. Let's go into live view. Give it a couple of seconds to load up, and that loads up fairly quickly. Now there's a truck over there, but right away just notice the 150 degree field of view. You can really see a lot all the way from the top of my entryway to the bottom. So if any packages are placed fairly close to the camera, I'm gonna see it, except if it's placed directly under the camera, then I may not be able to see that. But let's go ahead. I could just zoom in and take a look at what this truck is doing, and then I can move around. So it is a digital zoom. Now let's just get out of that. From here, I can also go into a full screen mode, and I have some quick access icons. And then the other thing I could do is just go into a vertical view, and I could pan, right to left. So that's also very handy, but let's get out of that. Actually, before that, if you click into more, you see there's an option that says picture in picture. So keep watching live view and you swipe away. This is really handy because you can just watch picture in picture on your phone and use another app. So, if you're expecting a package that day, you can see exactly when it's delivered. Or if your package is already delivered and you want to make sure no one's going to walk up and steal it, you can keep an active eye on that while you're using your phone. While we're in live view, I can also go into quick replies right here. And there's some seasonal messages. So right now it says spring messages. Probably later it'll update to summer, fall, winter, etc. And you could see this is what it says, and it has kind of like a spring background. I'll demo that later. Now what we can also do is take a look at, default messages such as leave the package outside. If you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now. And then there's also messages in different languages as well, depending on where you're using this. And I'm in Canada, so it's also showing me French. And then of course there's the default messages. Now right at the bottom it says, note that only Ring Protect plan subscribers will be able to access and review messages left by visitors in their video history. So this is another benefit of the cloud plan. And of course, while we're watching live view, if someone wants to walk up to the camera, I could just go ahead, hit the microphone right there. You can hear the car driving by. So the microphone pickup is pretty good, but I could hit that and just start having a two-way conversation with them. To review recorded video and events, we'll go into history, and you can see it just has a vertically scrolling log of everything that happens. So, I was out there capturing some shots, and you can see it says here, motion at the front door, person detected. And person detected, this is another benefit of the cloud plan. If you don't have that, it's just going to say, motion. It won't say specifically that a person was detected, and you also won't be notified of packages. But let me go into yesterday, because yesterday I was testing it out in terms of delivering packages, and you can see it shows package left at the front door. But sometimes this was a bit hit and miss, and I'll explain a little bit more, but it says package there. Now, anytime you see one of these, you could tap into it, and that's going to play. So right now the video quality is a little bit low. That's because it's the pre-roll option selected. Once that's finished, it goes into the regular resolution. So I'm just kind of simulating dropping a package, taking a photo like a delivery person, and then leaving. Now from here, you can also go ahead, share this clip, download it, favorite, or delete it. Just a heads up, but if you want to see a horizontal timeline of events, you can disable this option for tap camera preview for live view. So you can see when I disable that, if I go into live view now, what I am going to see is this past events icon here. And I can actually scroll through this and take a look at all different types of motion. So it's up to you whether you prefer, this type of playback history or not. I actually don't really care for it. So if I go back into here and I'm going to turn on tap camera preview for live view, I'll go back into live view. You can see that I won't have that horizontal timeline, but if I do want to review history or playback history, I would just go right into event history, and I could take a look at it vertically versus horizontally, which I prefer this because I do get thumbnail previews. The other thing we could do is tap on events, and we can filter by the event we want to see. So if I just want to see every time, say, a package was delivered, I could filter by that, and I'll see only those events. And then similarly, you have options for every time it's rang, motion, a person was detected, live view, key delivery. Now let's go into just person detection, for example. And you'll see every time the camera identified that there was a person in front. So very handy and easy to play back. While we're still in event history, you'll notice this event summary icon, and this is only available with a monthly cloud plan, and it shows statistics from the past 24 hours. So if I tap into that, you can see it shows it at a total of 171 events, ring events, package, persons detected, live view, motion. And then this is really handy because if you don't want to comb through video, you could just see at a glance. Now, if I just wanted to take a look at every time there was live view, I could just tap into that. It's going to automatically select that filter. So pretty handy to have that feature. If you wanted to see a bit more information on the screen, you could go into preview, and instead of setting it to large, you could set it to small so you could see a little bit more, or you could just set no preview. By the way, if you're finding this review helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. It truly does help me out, but let's get back to it. Let's take a look at the full device settings now, and you can see that the battery is showing that it's being actively charged, and that's because I've wired it to my existing Chime, so it's receiving power and it's triggering my indoor Chime, which is handy. You can also enable ring alerts, motion detection, motion alerts, and motion warning, which I've disabled. You can also launch into live view. Event history I already touched on. Accessories is just if you want to buy any additional accessories for your doorbell, such as the Ring Chime, which I think should have just come in the box automatically. Mode settings, this is optional. You can completely disable modes if you don't want to use this feature. Link devices is if you have more than one Ring device, you can have them kind of synchronize with each other. Now we can also go into alert snooze. And we can snooze for as low as 30 minutes all the way to 12 hours, but I don't see an option to set any type of custom snooze duration. Now we can also look at link chimes. Again, this will only work if you've bought one of Ring's chimes, which I don't have. And then device health, you could take a look at, the current battery level, whether it's hardwired or not. If you connected the solar device, you would see if it's charging. You could take a look at signal strength, etc. Under motion settings, we have this feature called bird's eye zones. And if I swipe over, then we just have camera motion zones. Now, this is a feature that is pretty cool in terms of seeing this kind of aerial view, but I actually don't find myself finding it too useful. I prefer having the pre-roll option, which I'll show later. But you can see if you tap on that, you can edit the zone and you could kind of expand, that radius. But again, not a feature that I've really found helpful. And of course, if I swipe over into camera motion zones, well, blue is where I'm going to be alerted anytime motion occurs, which is why I have, the whole thing kind of marked out. I want to be notified all the time. And then the orange color is for package zones. And this is, anytime someone places a package anywhere in this vicinity or behind this delivery box, I want to be notified. And of course, you can go ahead and, edit these zones, and it shows you package zone, default zone. As we scroll down, we can go into bird's eye zones and just completely disable this option if you don't want to use it. Now, camera motion zones I already touched on for the packages and just general motion. And then you can also adjust the motion sensitivity. So right now I just left it on the default. That's been working really well actually on the default. However, I did notice I had to crank packet sensitivity because a lot of the times it wasn't detecting when a package was placed, even though there was adequate light and the package was large enough. So if you're having problems, go ahead and change packet sensitivity. Under smart alerts, you can fine tune the alerts and recordings that you get. So for persons, maybe I want persons recorded, but I don't always want to be notified. Well, I could tap on that so I won't get alerts. Now for other motion, I could do the same. I could just say I don't want recordings or alerts. And it says you may still see motion alerts without people on the timeline. If the camera system is not sure, it's going to still record it to let you decide. So that's pretty good. Now, under package, I could say, hey, I want recordings of packages, but I don't want alerts about packages. So you have a lot of customization here, and you could just completely disable it if you just want to be notified every time something happens. You can also set a motion schedule so you won't get alerts during a certain time. So I've set a nighttime schedule that's only going to occur on the weekends. So from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. I won't be notified. And of course, you could just go ahead and add, say, a morning schedule when you're at work, and you could just switch that, say from 9 to 5, and then you'll only get them when you come home. Under advanced settings, we have the option for motion frequency. Now, frequently means that the motion detection is always active. It's not going to take a cooldown time or a re-trigger time. As soon as it detects motion, it's going to alert you and start recording again. Regularly, it will take a short break after each motion event. Say you're coming and going, loading groceries perhaps, and then periodically it takes an even longer break. Now, if you set it to frequently like I have, it is going to have an impact on battery life. Under device settings, this is where we could take a look at video settings. So if you go into night vision, I've found that using it on adaptive is great. You can also say standard if you have no problems with glare, or you could just turn it off, but adaptive has been working well for me. Now you can also turn on HDR, and most of the clips that I'll show later are with HDR turned on because I have a covered entryway. You can also set color night vision as well, which I have enabled. And now when you tap on the camera preview for live view, you can decide if you want to go directly to live view or to see recent events. Now I prefer just going right into live view versus recent events. And then picture in picture, you can have a pre-roll, or you could have bird's eye view, and this is what that looks like. So when you're reviewing clips, you're going to have a picture-in-picture, either pre-roll or bird's eye view, and I find pre-roll to be more beneficial than using the bird's eye view, and I'll show that later as well. And recording length, I've left it on auto, but if you didn't, you can record for as low as 15 seconds all the way up to 2 minutes. You have the option to take snapshot captures every hour, every 14 minutes, 5 minutes, or 3 minutes. But note that this will negatively affect battery life, especially if you set it to every 3 minutes. Under notification settings, we can go ahead and enable rich notifications, which is going to include snapshots or thumbnails, which is a handy feature to have. And you can also alert the app alert tones and link chimes. Now under privacy, you can go ahead and add a privacy zone if it's needed in your area. So say I needed to block off this specific area here, well, I could do that. And you could add more than one privacy zone if you need. You can also deactivate audio streaming and recording if you like. Under general settings, we could go to volume and change the speaker volume and the doorbell sounds volume. Now there's an option here to tap on report device as stolen, and I noticed on the Ring box that it mentioned that they will actually replace stolen devices with certain conditions applying. Now since this is my first Ring video doorbell, I've not experienced this, but if you have, let me know if you've ever had one of yours stolen and if they did indeed replace it. Under smart responses, we can go ahead and enable quick replies, so the doorbell will play a preset response anytime someone presses the ringer, and the response time can be right away as soon as they press it, or you can set a delay from 2 seconds up to 20 seconds. And then the quick reply message can be the default, we can't answer the door right now. And you also have the option to share access with other users. So straight off, the 150-degree horizontal and vertical field of view is something that I really love and find super usable. It's really easy to see packages basically when they're placed anywhere except, like right under the doorbell, but I'll touch on package alerts later. I noticed that in most of the recorded video clips, the frames per second were from 24 frames per second to 40 frames per second. Now, when you're looking at daytime video, the system did a fairly good job. However, if you have a covered entryway like I do, there's not a lot of direct light that comes in. It's mostly, ambient light or reflected light. And that makes it hard to make out faces, especially when they're right up against the video doorbell or kind of, shadowed or shaded in some way. And this is what I found. Now, in the app settings, there's an option to turn on HDR, which is supposed to rectify this issue. But I find that it still didn't do much of a great job, even with that option turned on. I still left it on, but definitely, when the sun is out, you're going to get way better results on the footage that you're going to see. So the black and white night vision was fairly good on this system, and it's really improved anytime you have some kind of ambient light, a porch light, or like these UV overhead lights that I have, which are super bright. It kind of makes it like daylight, and I'll link those down below if you want to check them out. But yeah, as long as you have enough ambient light from a porch light or something similar, it's going to be very easy to use either the black and white night vision or the color night vision. I also tried setting the system to using color night vision, but removing all types of ambient light like the porch light or those overhead lights, and the footage was unusable. So you do definitely need to have some kind of ambient light if you're using color night vision. Otherwise, just use the black and white night vision. I also noticed that when I cut all ambient lights and I walked up to the doorbell, it did have a soft LED glow for the ringer, so I could easily make out where the ringer button is. Now, on some competitor doorbells, they actually have a soft type of light that actually activates as you get closer to the doorbell, which is very handy when you're fishing for keys for your door, and it's something I wish they could have included on this. What really impressed me with this system was the speed of the motion detection. So even though I set the motion detection sensitivity to the default, which is right in the middle, I found the system to be super responsive at detecting me and then sending me an app alert on my phone. And once it sent the app alert on my phone, it would have a thumbnail so I could see, hey, do I need to actually tap this or can I ignore it? And this is another benefit of the Ring Protect plan. If you have that, you have these enhanced notifications, which give you a thumbnail preview, so you can decide do you want to click it or not. Now, once you actually click the thumbnail or the app alert, it can take you into a recorded event, or it could take you into live view, and you could set that in the app as well. If you tap to let it take you into the recorded event, well, it's going to show you video with either the pre-roll preceding the video or with the pre-roll or the bird's eye zone in a picture-in-picture format at the top left. You could see in the app notification history, it shows you whether motion was general motion, if it was a person, if it was a package, if the bell was rang, or if it was live view. And that's all very handy. Now, to determine whether it was a person or a package, you do need the monthly paid plan. Now, package alerts is something that I found to be hit and miss, and it's something where you need to pay for the monthly plan to have that feature. Now, what it says in the app is that the box has to be at least 11 inches large. And that means that, if you have food delivery, it's most likely not going to detect it. If you have groceries delivered, it's not going to detect it. It has to kind of be something sizable enough for it to detect it. And that's kind of what I found. Now, a lot of the times I was putting the package down right in front of the camera, a little bit further away, to the right, to the left, and it wouldn't actually detect it. So I went back into the app settings and I cranked the packet sensitivity to the highest setting. And then it started becoming a little bit more responsive in terms of packages. So definitely right out of the box, you're most likely going to have to do that. Another factor could be that I have a covered entryway. There's less light coming in there, and that's another factor which it does mention in the app. While changing the packet sensitivity to the highest setting and setting a package detection zone did help, anytime I picked up the package and I walked away from my door, so I'm just simulating stealing it, it would just send me an alert saying a package was delivered. It wouldn't say the package was picked up or stolen. And this is something where if the system was a bit more intelligent, it could see if the subject was walking away from the door or away from the doorbell, it could just trigger an alarm or a siren to, say, hey, leave my package alone kind of deal. The speakers on here are also very loud and it's easy to have two-way talk. You can also send pre-recorded messages, although you can't record your own custom message. And you can also set it so that as soon as someone presses the doorbell, you can reply with a default pre-recorded message. And here's a couple of examples.
Please leave the package outside. If you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now. Hello, happy spring. We're busy bees and can't make it to the door. Please leave a message.
Here's an example of what two-way talk sounds like on the Ring Video Doorbell Pro. So there's no included chime in the box here. So that means if you're upstairs or downstairs in the basement and someone rings the doorbell, you probably won't be able to hear it. However, if you're on the main floor, there's a chance you can hear it from inside the house if the front door is not too far from you. So what you have to do is you have to buy one of Ring's chimes to use it, or use it with an Alexa device. Or what you can do is just wire it and then it'll trigger your existing home's mechanical chime, which is what I've done. So to get full functionality out of the doorbell, you do need the Ring Protect plan. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to have up to 180 days of video stored in the cloud. You can also have 60 days of notification history. You can also have person and package alerts. Without that, you're just going to see motion alerts. So technically you can get way more alerts. However, if you have the person and package alerts, you could tell the system, hey, just show it to me whenever it's a package or a person, reducing the amount of alerts you get. And then you also have the event notification history. So you could just see in a snapshot what happened in the last 24 hours. Now, I can live without a lot of the features of the Ring Protect plan. I don't need 60 days of notification history. I don't need to see what happened in the last 24 hours. And maybe I could live without the package alert and person detection. Maybe motion detection is good enough. However, the fact that this doesn't save any video at all to the doorbell locally or with a sync module or a home base or anything like that is a pretty big concern, because if your internet goes down, this is not saving video temporarily on the device to later upload it to the cloud. So anything can transpire during that time. And I see that as a huge oversight where a lot of video doorbells have some form of local storage. But overall, I'm fairly impressed with the brand new Ring Battery Doorbell Pro. The motion detection is one of the fastest that I've seen and the app pulls up quickly. I didn't experience, crashes or network timeouts or anything like that. It's really solid and stable in that regard. I also really love the 150-degree horizontal and vertical field of view. It's easy to see packages and visitors from head to toe, and it's also great to have the option to have pre-roll video. Now, I know for a lot of you, paying the monthly fee is probably not that big of a deal. It's not a huge amount, but it is an amount that is subject to change every year and you really have no control over that. And when I consider that, a lot of their competitors offer full functionality and maybe more functionality than this with AI features, and you don't have to pay for a monthly cloud plan, it makes it hard to recommend this. However, if you already have a lot of Ring devices and you're invested in the Ring ecosystem, then yes, this is actually a fairly good doorbell in terms of the motion detection and all the other features that I mentioned. It's just a shame that it offers no onboard or local storage. So if you're interested in picking up the Ring Battery Doorbell Pro, I'm going to leave some links down below along with links to pick up their chime units. And I'll also leave links to other competitor video doorbells if you're not a fan of paying monthly fees. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider checking out some of my other home security or camera related videos. And if you found this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. It truly does help me out so much as a growing channel, and I'll see you in the next one soon.